Hey, hey, hey! It's that time of the month again, the first Friday. Let's do it! Stay tuned! Hello and welcome to this month's Big, the Classic and the Indie, the monthly review show where I review not one, not two, but three horror films. One big, one classic, and the other indie. So, we also have our shout outs as well every month. Okay, so let's get this on with it. Let's go with the Big, the Classic and the Indie. My big movie review, I've chosen to review Sinister, directed by Scott Derrickson, starring Ethan Hawke, Julia Raylands or whatever, and James Branson. So this is a supernatural horror from 2012, where this guy who's a writer, he's like trying to work on a new book to stop from being just a one-hit wonder because he sold a good book and even ended up on a chat show. But then he finds in this house he bought, where a murder previously happened, he discovers this Super 8 camera, and he looks at it and there's all these snuff films on of the families that lived in the house before being killed and before and that and so on and so forth. So while he's looking at that, researching for his next book, he's also getting people to dig into some research for him, to research on this ancient demon that seems to always appear in the Super 8 films, called Bagul, who is like this boogeyman sort of demon. And basically, what does he want? We find out at the end that he wants the souls of the children to take back to his realm, the youngest child in the family, which, spoiler alert, is Ethan Hawke's daughter. The film is suspenseful, it's full of jump scares. I mean, I'll be honest, I love horror, and I was jumping out my skin at every jump scare that I could see. But yes, it was a creepy film, very jumpy, and I was dreading every moment when I was looking at the jump scares. So, Sinister. Do I recommend this film? Yes, I do. Because you'll love it if you're a horror fan, and also, if you don't get scared easily and you want to get scared, it's a fun ride. I would say don't watch it in the dark, but if you do, you're very brave. But I've watched it many times now, and it don't bother me anymore. But the first time I ever watched it, which was nearly 5 years ago, I was jumping at every second of the jump scares. So yes, what I liked the originality, because I'd never seen anything like that before. The dislikes, I thought Ethan Hawke could have done better on his acting, because I thought his character were a bit bland, and didn't really put much into it. But yes, it's a good horror film, great creeps, great jump scares and everything, a great supernatural chiller. Do I recommend it? Yes. So, for the big review, I am giving Sinister a... let's see. I'm going to give Sinister a 7 out of 10. So that's been the big review for Sinister. Now we go to the next part of the show, where it's the classic review. And for my classic movie review, I'm reviewing Frankenstein, the original 1931 film, directed by James Whale, starring Boris Karloff and Colin Clive. Boris Karloff makes his 80th movie, and it's his 80th film that gets him noticed in the world by people. He did about 79 films before that, but Frankenstein was the one that got him famous. So this is a true classic, one of Universal's early horror films. They did Dracula before that, and then they did Frankenstein, based on Mary Shelley's classic novel. And of course, this is a classic film coming out in 1931 with sound. Now, there were a lot of controversy on this one about a scene where the monster throws a girl into a river and into a lake and she drowns. That bit got cut out and didn't get put back in for at least 40 years after its original release. So yeah, this is about, Henry Frankenstein. I don't know why it's called Henry, he's called Victor in the book. Frankenstein creates a monster, brings him to life, then he goes a bit mad thinking he's God. But then the monster, he develops a consciousness, he starts to get into a lot of troubles because he didn't know right from wrong. And, you feel for the monster, you do feel sorry for him, and that. So what I liked about it was, I just liked it. I liked the effects it had for the time. I liked the makeup Boris Karloff was wearing, and he would sit for like 30 hours a day. In fact, 30 hours is a full day in that makeup chair in the boiling hot Californian sun. But back then the actor got no say in all that, and they didn't get paid very good as well. But that was a different time back then. But still, Boris Karloff is known for Frankenstein's monster and the Mummy, and many other roles where he wears a lot of makeup. So, I also liked, the effects for the monster, the story. It's about 70 minutes long, but hey, back then I guess they had to work with what they had. Things I disliked. I disliked how they made a big fuss over the whole girl drowning scene, but 1931, that probably was, very disturbing, very distressing, but these days you get away with it, it's just, we have deaths in PG-rated films, and that's what it is. The Frankenstein, all these classic horror movies that were considered scary at the time are like really tame now. Like this, Frankenstein, it is, PG rated now. But yeah, it is a good classic film, and I recommend it to people. It's still big to this very day. Over 80 years later, and people still watch it. People still talk about it. So, with that being said, I'm giving Frankenstein, the original film from 1931, let me have a look. Do you know what? I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 because it is a classic. I can watch it and never get bored with watching it. So 8 out of 10 for the classic. So now we go to the next part, which is the indie film. So let's go! And then last but not least, of course, the indie movie review. And that is Lesbian Vampire Killers, directed by Phil Claydon, starring Matthew Horn, James Corden, Mariana Bering, Vera Fontova, and Paul McGann, ex-Doctor Who. So this is a comedy, horror, sort of spoof movie, but it's definitely indie. It was intended to be direct-to-DVD, but they just showed it in cinemas, but it's still classed as an indie film. But yes, what I liked about it, I liked basically everything. I bought this film when it came out in 2009, and I watched it, and I still like it to this day. So what it is Matthew Horn and James Corden play these two buddies that go to this, that can't afford a holiday, so they go hiking in the Norfolk woods, only to discover that there are some hot babes there, and lesbian vampires, as they discover that the village that they're in is cursed by the lesbian vampire Queen Camilla, and every woman upon their 18th birthday becomes a lesbian vampire. So anyway, we discover that Matthew Horn's character, Jimmy, is the descendant of the great Baron McLaren, who slayed Camilla many centuries ago. And then, of course, there's, the witty humour of James Corden. Of course, he's come a long way since then. So what I liked about it, I liked the humour, the comedy James Corden and Matthew Horn put into it, and the hot lesbian vampire babes, you know. And also Paul McGann, he was keeping it straight on acting, being serious, trying to be the sensible one in this all. And he was the vicar in it. What I didn't like how the vampires were killed. I mean, yeah, they can explode and what have you, but the way they just disintegrated, they sort of looked like cum, you know, semen. They didn't look like blood or anything. That was one dislike for me. But all in all, I love the film. For some people, it may be crap. It's like Marmite, you either like it or you don't. I, on the other hand, absolutely love the film. It is fun for me, witty, a lot of British humour in there, and James Corden's character, Fletch, he said in the film, next time he'll have me bummed by a big gay werewolf, and there is sort of a thing on the end with that. We do see sort of a big gay werewolf howling in an eclipse. Whether there'll be a sequel to that, I don't know, but the film's nearly 10 years old. In fact, it's 8 years old this month. 8 years ago since I saw that film. And then, of course, 2 more years, it'll be 10 years old. I can't believe how fast time flies. But yes, Lesbian Vampire Killers. If you love... Basically, it's also got a lot of pornography in it. Yeah, a lot of lesbian vampires and stuff. It's just exactly what it says on the tin. So, with that being... Oh, and also the vampires in it are on a mission to resurrect the vampire queen Camilla. That's what they do in it. And yes, the only way she can be resurrected is by the bloodline of the descendant of the one who killed her, and the blood of a virgin girl. But yeah, I think the cinematography is great. Phil Claydon did a great job in directing this film, and I very much enjoyed it. So, with that being said, I'm going to give Lesbian Vampire Killers... I still like it to this very day. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. No, that's just my personal opinion. It's like Marmite, you either like it or you don't, so I'll recommend it to you if you're into that sort of humour. But yeah, it's a great film. So, that has been the classic and the indie. Now for the final part, the shout-outs. This month's shout-outs go to Horror Gal. She's a nice woman, really, go check her out. Hello Horror, Horror Whore, and last but not least, the Late Late Horror Show. And they're all guys that have shown me great support ever since I started this second horror channel. So yes, all their channels are going to be linked in the description below. Be sure to check them all out, and that I sent you. Also, please, also subscribe to them, and also please feel free to subscribe to my channel, Random Horror, and to my main channel, Random TV, and also hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I upload a video. And also, you can hit me up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, it's all linked down below, and join my Facebook group, the Random Horror Madhouse, so you can hang out with many other horror fans like myself. So yes, until next time, don't have nightmares.